Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the Inner Whisper, your sacred pause to return to yourself. I'm Vane. Thank you for being here, gifting yourself this moment in the middle of your week. This week's theme is the art of trusting yourself. We started the week talking about transforming your doubts, recognizing them as teachers instead of enemies. Yesterday, we dared to unmask the critical voice, that one that so often limits us and that we can learn to recognize and release. And today, we take another step, rewriting your inner dialogue. Because it is not enough to see the doubt or unmask the critic. We also need to create a new language within ourselves. Rewriting your inner dialogue means choosing words that support instead of punish, phrases that build instead of tear you down, messages that remind you of your work instead of questioning it. Today, I invite you to explore how changing the way you speak to yourself can transform the way you trust yourself and walk through life. Most of us live accompanied by a constant inner voice, a voice that comments, evaluates, reminds us of what's missing or what we didn't do right. Often that voice is not our enemy, but it has become harsh, critical, relentless. Where does it come from? I believe that it comes from what we heard in childhood, from external expectations, from comparisons, from unhealed wounds. And little by little, that voice settled in as an echo that repeats, "You're always making mistakes. You are not enough." The real problem is not having a critical voice, because we all do, but believing it without questioning it. We let it speak as if it were absolute truth. And without realizing, we start to live inside its story. The negative narrative becomes the script that directs our decisions, our relationships, and even the way we dream. Each time we give power to those phrases, we reinforce them. I can't. I never succeed. I always fail. And by repeating them, we end up creating the life that voice dictates. But here's the key. You don't have to accept that narrative as your destiny. You can question it. You can ask, is what I'm telling myself really true? Is there another way of speaking to myself that reminds me of my value instead of denying it? When you dare to question that voice, a new space opens. The space to rewrite your story. You're no longer a character trapped in someone else's script. You become the author who chooses new words. Changing your inner dialogue doesn't mean denying what you feel, but transforming how you speak to yourself. From a tone of demand to a tone of tenderness. From a language of lack to a language of abundance. From a discourse that limits to a voice that reminds you of your power. Remember that your words are not just thoughts. They are seeds. What you tell yourself will bloom in your life. And when you choose to sow self-compassion, trust, and love, your inner garden fills with light. And so this doesn't remain only as reflection. I want to invite you into a very concrete practice. 3 paths to rewrite your inner dialogue. Identify the critical phrase. Throughout the day, listen carefully for that phrase that repeats in your mind. It might be, I always mess up. I won't be able to do it. I never do enough. Write it down exactly as it appears without filters. Naming it is the first step to taking away its power. Rewrite with compassion. Now take that same phrase and change it into words of support, as if you were speaking to someone you love. For example, instead of I never do enough, say I'm doing the best I can, and that is valuable. Instead of I always mess up, I allow myself to learn and grow from every experience. Do it in writing so your new narrative becomes to take real form. Repeat and embody this new voice. Each time the critical voice appears, breathe and return to your rewritten phrase. Say it aloud if possible, as many times as needed. Choose to inhabit that supportive voice until it becomes your new inner dialogue. This exercise won't change your life in a single day, but little by little, it changes the tone of your relationship with yourself. And behind this practice of self-compassion, there is also science that supports it. Self-compassion activates areas of the brain linked to calm and safety, reducing stress. Rewriting your inner dialogue strengthens neuroplasticity. New phrases create new neural connections. Studies show that people who practice self-compassion are more resilient and have greater emotional well-being. Speaking to yourself with tenderness does not make you less productive. On the contrary, it gives you more motivation and energy. Let's integrate this exercise into the body through conscious breathing. Let's start with our first breath of light, releasing all the air and getting ready to take a deep breath through your nose. Imagine receiving words of tenderness that caress your inner self. And exhale, releasing the weight of criticism that doesn't belong to you. Ha! Second breath, inhale, visualizing supportive phrases entering your heart like rays of light. And exhale, letting go of the harsh phrases you used to repeat. Ha! Last breath, inhale, receiving the trust of a loving inner voice. And exhale, resting in the peace of speaking to yourself with compassion and love. Ah. Stay for a moment in this space of calm, listening to your own voice with tenderness. Rewriting your inner dialogue is an act of freedom. It is telling your soul, I will no longer repeat stories that wound me. Now I choose words that nourish me. Your inner voice can be your judge or it can be your ally. Today you can choose to transform it into your best companion. As Louise Hay, pioneer in the self-help movement and author of You Can Heal Your Life, reminds us, the way we talk to ourselves determines the way we live. May this day find you speaking with love to yourself. May your words be seeds of trust. And may your inner voice become the refuge where you can always rest. For today's mantra, repeat with me. My words hold me with love. Thank you for listening to the Inner Whisper. Thank you for being here with me and for giving you this space. If this whisper resonated with you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel at the Inner Light Path. Leave me a comment. What phrase would you rewrite today to speak to yourself with more compassion? Give it thumbs up so it can reach more people. Or visit my blog on Substack at innerlightpath.substack.com. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. Until then, love deeply, shine brightly, and embrace your journey. Ciao.